What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, a little bit of a change of scenery. I'm right in front of the window for some natural lighting, trying something out, so it might come in and out. I don't know. Not the best setup. We're making it work. My stepdad's man cave. We're making it work because I wanted to talk to you about one that I had super high hopes for, and I'm not disappointed in, but it's not as good as I hoped it would be. It is good, but it's not as good as I hoped it would be. It's from Fragrance World. It's Azzure Oud. I did pick this one up from Fragrance Buy. You can grab it in the link below, where I do earn a small commission if you happen to purchase it through there, but no big deal if not, because, Oud Maracuja clone. Love Oud Maracuja. I do have a box sample of it. I do plan on getting a bottle. This is good enough, but not as good as it could have been. Let's talk about it. Stay tuned. So first we'll look at the bottle real quick, because these particular bottles do look pretty good, I gotta say. It has this matte blue finish. So again, sorry for the lighting. I'm kind of working with the natural lighting the best I can. It says the name of the fragrance down there. This little jewel in the middle. Hefty bottle, you know, for their French Avenue line. French Avenue on the back. Cap does click into place, and pretty good atomizer. Now, we're actually gonna give it a spray on skin too. So when this one opens up, if you've ever smelled the original Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja, you'll immediately notice the distinction between the quality of this and the quality of the original. That's the biggest thing for me. This has that typical sweet, semi-medicinal, synthetic oud smell with the way the fruitiness comes across, passion fruit and all these tropical fruits in there. It does give a little bit of a rotten fruit smell because of this oud funkiness and astringence that comes with the profile. And that may sound off-putting, and for some it might be off-putting. This isn't just some super mass appealing fragrance for everyone. This is going to be a polarizing one that some people are going to love. Some people are going to think smells terrible, because again, it does have a little bit of a rotten fruits thing kind of going. I find it oddly attractive. I do get a little bit of a smoked wood type of smell. Could be the type of synthetic oud that they use. I don't remember the full note breakdown exactly. Obviously, I've had it on screen by now. And that's what I get from the opening. Not bad. Not phenomenal either. I think the quality of the original makes up for some of... because it is a similar profile, I gotta say. It makes up for some of it. But I would say overall in the opening, it's probably about 75 to 80% accurate. As it starts to dry down, though, it gets a lot smoother, less astringent and sharp. And it does become closer to the original. I would say it's more of an 80 to 85% match overall. But as far as a standalone, the fruitiness kind of smooths out and becomes less rotten, more ripe. Kind of takes a turn and does a 180. A bit juicier, a bit more ripe. There's a little hint of spice that I do get in the background, and the woodiness here kind of smooths out and dries out just a little bit. I get more of a pencil shaving type of dry wood smell that goes with this ripe fruit smell. And it becomes much more enjoyable, I gotta say, as it settles down. This is one that, even if you're not a big fan of the way it opens up, give it a little bit, maybe give it 10-15 minutes, and you might change your opinion on it, because it does get better as it develops, as it dries down, as do most fragrances. If a fragrance becomes less interesting as it dries down, it's not a good fragrance. That's kind of a rule of thumb for me. Sometimes the opening's not necessarily for everyone, but usually the life of the fragrance is going to be majority of the heart and into the dry down, and if that gets better and better, then that makes for a pretty good fragrance, at least to me. And that's what this one does. So it does save itself, which it wasn't. Again, I don't think it's a bad opening. I just don't think it's as good as I hoped it to be. It was my own expectation that I put on it. Because again, it has more of a rotten fruit smell in the opening. And then as it dries down, smooths out, ripens up, the wood dries out a bit more. It's not as over the top sweet as it is in the beginning. Still sweet through and through. But overall, I would say this is one that may have to grow on you. Or it might be very off-putting. This one's kind of going to be all over the place. It's very much I don't want to say a dangerous blind buy, but it's a risky one depending on if you're familiar with the original. If you like the original, there's a really good chance you'll like this if you can go into it with the expectation that it's not going to be on par with the same quality as the original from Maison Crivelli. It's just not, but it does have a very similar profile. So if you like the original, there's a good chance if you're looking for a cheaper alternative that you will like the way this one smells. Now, when we're talking performance, no slouch. If you're looking for a strong performer, look no further. Azzure Oud is indeed a strong performer. Longevity definitely falls in that 8+ hour territory. And as far as projection, it's on that moderate to heavy side for about an hour to an hour and a half before it starts to sit a little bit close to the skin and gives what I would consider more of a moderate sillage, where I do get pretty constant reminders. I don't really experience a lot of nose fatigue with this one, not noticeably fatiguing to it anyways. I'm sure there's a little bit involved where it's probably stronger than I'm even realizing, but it's still very present throughout the wearing experience, where I get wafts when I make certain movements, turn certain ways. It'll just give me, reminders here and there that have a decent potency to them. That's why I would say it's in that moderate range. It does trail pretty well from what I can tell. So across the board, I wouldn't call it a beast, because it's not a beast to me. Now, if you start cranking the sprays up, you start doing some wild 7, 10, 12 spray thing going on, yeah, it'll be a room-filling, obnoxious monster, I'm sure, if you start dialing the sprays up. More sprays, bigger sillage, bigger projection, stronger smell. Not longer lasting. More sprays does not equal longer lasting. It means stronger, much stronger. It's like you're bathing in it, basically. So across the board, I would call it well above average, not quite a beast. Final thoughts on Azzure Oud from Fragrance World. I do think it's a very good fragrance. The opening kind of plays with my emotions a little bit, if you will, because it's not as good as I was hoping it to be. Again, it's my own personal expectation that it did not meet. You may not feel the same. It may be great from start to finish for you. So keep that in mind, because this is going to be a blind buy. So you are rolling the dice. It's not super expensive, but it's also not 20 bucks either. So keep that in mind, because I do think my overall assessment is it is a really good enough take on Oud Maracuja. I don't think it's near as good as the original. I still would advise saving up and getting the real deal if you want the same experience. If you sampled Oud Maracuja and you're expecting Oud Maracuja, there's room for disappointment for you, like there was for me, because I figured that going into it. You have to temper your expectations. It's not going to smell like the niche fragrance that it's replicating one-to-one, but it does get pretty close. And for those looking for a good enough experience, this is definitely a good enough experience. I think this one's very good at 7.5 out of 10. Above average performance across the board. The majority of the lifespan of the fragrance is actually enjoyable to wear. It's the opening that's a little hit and miss for me that I kind of got to bear through, where it doesn't smell bad. It's just not my favorite thing to just keep going back to. See, it's already settling down. It's getting much better. A little bit of that smoky accord I was speaking of is already settling in just a few minutes in. So if you give it a few minutes here, literally 5-7 minutes after I sprayed it, 8 minutes, it's already settling in nicely. So very good fragrance, 7.5 out of 10, blind buy with caution. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on Azzure Oud from Fragrance World, their clone of Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli. It's a solid fragrance, I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications before you leave so you don't miss any videos when they drop. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all have a good one.